Madam Chair, we're ready to go.
Okay, hi everyone, and happy March. Happy sunshine, warm temps, Okay, let's start the meeting. Mr. Vunich, are you gonna do the roll call? Or Mr. Cruz is gonna do the roll call? Okay,
Have it here. Commission Member Wilson,
Here.
Commission Member Helfrey.
Here, can you hear me?
yes.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, thank
Commission-
you.
Commission Member Stevens,
Present.
Commission Member Hudson, Commission Member Lawson.
Here.
Commission Member Ward,
Here,
Chair Siebert,
here,
Council Liaison Joe Garitano,
Here.
and Staff Liaison Gary Cruz. Here.
and Jacqueline Tripp is here too.
Got her. Sorry, Jacqueline.
That's all right. I've been busy the last few weeks. I'm glad to be back though,
Glad to have you.
for the last few months. It's been a while.
Okay, the minutes from February 3rd. If you've all read them. Okay, is there a motion to approve and a second?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes from February 3rd are approved. By the way,
Thank
that was
you.
a good job on those minutes. They were really right on. Okay, according to this, any public comments? Are there?
Madam
Chair.
Chair, we did not receive any written comments in advance
Okay.
of tonight's meeting, nor are there any attendees on the Zoom webinar platform that I could ask if they'd like to speak. So no public comment.
Chair, maybe
Okay.
I could make a comment because I don't know if there's anywhere else to bring it up on the agenda, but just something that you might want to consider at the meeting. But we had our meeting yesterday, Admin Public Works, and one of the topics we had was just around all the various committee, board, task force meetings that the city has. And there's going to be a request that's going out to all the chairs. So you will probably get that ask that just says about what kind of flexibility this committee has in terms of frequency of meetings and also meeting times. And the reason the ask is going out is because we really want to be very considerate of our city team. They're in a lot of meetings, sometimes 3-4 nights in a row a week. We want to see how we can try to lighten the load a little bit for folks like Joe, Gary, and the others. So what we're asking committees is to see is, do you necessarily have to meet every month? Is it something that you meet maybe every 5 weeks? Do you meet every other month? And then also, because these meetings start at 6:30, people like Joe and Gary, they come in the morning, 8:30, and they're here at night sometimes till 9 o'clock. So is there flexibility? Because now with Zoom, we can maybe start at 6 or 5:30 and give the city staff a chance to get home, where especially like Joe and Gary, they're in the office. So we're trying to see how we can make that work-life balance a little bit better for the city team, as well as everybody here, right? We don't want to be stuck in meetings late. So maybe that's a question or something we think about when we go, what's the next meeting date, and, kind of figure that out and see if it works better for everybody to even start a little earlier for the sake of the staff and everyone.
Thank you, Joe. That is something that we can talk about at the end of the meeting, okay, before we schedule our next meeting. Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, the next thing on the agenda would be, the scheduling and logistics for our Celebrate Wildwood and the Art Festival event. And then under that, we have the COVID-19 considerations. And one comment I want to make, President Biden yesterday announced that by the end of May, there will be enough vaccinations to go to every person in the country. So, which is for us, in view of our celebration and art festival, is a great thing. I mean, if everyone can get vaccinated and giving it a couple months, over the summer, so that we could have a really good event come the end of September. Okay, Mr. Vunich?
Well, Madam Chair and members of the commission, I concur with your assessment. If all goes according to plan, and that's the plan of the federal and state governments along with local authorities, at the end of September is looking better than it ever has before for our event. And so the idea behind the memorandum is just to provide it on a monthly basis or whenever we meet so that we can track the progress that's being made in regard to tamping down and hopefully eliminating COVID-19 as a consideration for anyone when planning about the future. And as you've mentioned, there's been a lot of progress of late. There are now 3 vaccines available to the American population. The federal government is emphasizing the amount of vaccine that'll be available by the beginning of summer, and that there still is a desire to wear masks until such time that the CDC or another authority tells us it's not, to practice social distancing and as well as wash your hands as often as possible. There are also local agencies that are helping us, that being the St. Louis County Department of Health, and they are providing guidelines as we speak. It's kind of an evolving thing, but they are working very closely with the departments of Parks and Recreation, the departments of Planning and Parks, and et cetera throughout the region. As you know, the time of year for our event also favors us. It's typically sunny and a little warmer, and it's outdoors. So all of those factors play into a positive approach for our September 25th event. I will then say that obviously the distribution of the vaccines and then the vaccination process itself has been a little sketchy. It's getting better, but all in all, I guess the moral of the story for tonight is if any of our vendors, participants, artists or crafters don't think that there's probably going to be a lot of changes along the way and potential bumps in the road, they're probably not being realistic. And so we're emphasizing to people that call about participating in the event that we plan to have it. We have a lot of good science behind it right now, but please be aware that things can change in a matter of hours, and we'll always keep everyone abreast. So with that, as I said, I just wanted to kind of give you the current status as the Department of Planning and Parks know it. We'll update this memorandum each month or whenever we meet so that we are keeping abreast of the changes. And I'd like to think all the positive news. With that, Mr. Cruz and I are available for any questions or comments about what we've put together in terms of the memorandum or the conversations we've had with other cities or St. Louis County. Thank you.
Any comments on the memorandum that he's talking about? I thought it was a good memorandum, but it will need to be updated as we go forward.
And Madam Chair, that's the intent. Hopefully at some point, maybe around the end of August, it'll say we're ready to go, and that's about all it'll need to say.
Right. Okay, that's,
Susan, I just want to say we appreciate Joe and Gary's time and effort. We also miss Kathy, and I don't know if we, as a committee, wanted to do anything for her, and I can put that somewhere, but I have to leave somewhat early. I don't know if these committees do anything like that. I know she's, you know, got a new job and all, but she was just wonderful to us, so.
she was.
So do committees do anything like gift cards or anything like that? I'm deferring to those powers here that know that kind of thing.
Now, from the department's perspective, we have not. It's not necessarily that the individual or person doesn't deserve it. It's just with such a small staff, when someone leaves, we kind of just hit the ground running and keep running. And all of a sudden you realize it's been a few weeks, a month, or if not longer, and it seems a little late then. But certainly, I'm sure she would appreciate just anything if it's just to contact via email. She did leave her personal email and said we could keep in touch. So I certainly can pass that on to all of you if you'd like.
Yes, please
I
do.
would like that.
Yes,
Definitely would
please,
like
That's okay.
if you could.
Okay, I'll
Absolutely.
do that
Thank-
first thing tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Okay, do you want to talk about the updated Celebrate Wildwood document?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cruz and
All
I
right.
will do it both, but I'm going to kind of ask for some indulgence at the start. The first item on that list that was prepared for tonight's meeting, March 3rd, is about the location. And Gary's put together a couple of presentation items that were part of the pack, and I'm going to let him explain that after I go through the other items pretty quickly. Under the first is just the general items underway and remaining. And as you can see, the number of them have yet to be started, that being fireworks, the electrician, and the Wi-Fi for the booths, along with recruiting volunteers. Those are things that we generally do later in the process versus earlier. But we do have portable restrooms scheduled, the waste services from Waste Connections, the city's hauler. We have the application for the volunteers created. We do not have yet launched it. And as you can see from our handout, we have 2 carryover sponsors from last year, 2020 into 2021, that being Apple Hill Academy and 3 French Hens. So we already have $1,500 in sponsorship. So that's a pretty good start. As you know, as you all know, we've set the date for September 25th, and it'll all kick off with the Wildwood Greenway 5K run walk, a substitute for the parade, which was decided at our last meeting in February. Additionally, the schedule is kind of farming into the general categories. The 9 a.m. start time for the run walk, then 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. that will be the Celebrate Wildwood event. So just 10 hours, but hopefully a fun-filled 10 hours. And then when all the booths and all the vendors get started, we basically end at 6:30 p.m. to allow the concert to be kind of the focus. And the concert starts at 6:45 and goes to the fireworks. Officer DeGelder is here. He is our contact with the St. Louis County Police Department, Wildwood Precinct. And as you know, they always do a wonderful job in keeping us all safe at the event. The layout, again, for the food court areas and dining areas is part of our discussion that'll occur here shortly. But as you can see, we already have the application open on our website for food and drink vendors. And we already have 4 food vendors and 2 drink vendors already committed to the event on September 25th. We have contacted all past participants, those that have provided food and drink during other Celebrate Wildwood events, and that was completed at the end of February. We have the sound person scheduled. We have the stage scheduled. We do not have the deaf interpreters yet, but we will have them. And the bands are in progress. We've not started anything from 11 o'clock to 4:30, but as you know, we do have the McEwen Band, which was to play at our 25th anniversary celebration. They are scheduled and have carried over from 2020. So that's something that's confirmed. In terms of the kids, we have the Juggling Jeff. He's scheduled. We have the clown scheduled. We have upper limits climbing wall schedules. And per your direction, commission members from our last meeting in February, we now have the bounce house scheduled. In terms of the booth items underway, we have the application for the artists and fine crafters. That's open on RecDesk, as well as the local authors and the not-for-profit and local organizations. We have 10 authors committed at this time. We have 4 not-for-profit local organizations committed. We have the 2 sponsors I mentioned. And surprisingly, and this is, I think, good news, we have 17 artists and fine crafters already committed to the event. And I think of that, 9 of them are artists, Gary. You're on mute, I'm sorry.
All 17 of those are artists. We haven't opened it up to the fine crafters yet. They're all artists, and hopefully we're going to get them in one section right out here in front of City Hall.
So that's even better news, I think.
Yeah.
And we've explained to the artists that, it's the year back from COVID-19, so don't expect much, but we want you here just so we can get that continuity and maintain that continuity and get you out in the public again. Also, in terms of the marketing component, the one major item I do want to emphasize is we are engaging a company, a consultant, Silver Tablet Marketing, Debbie Ward. She's done a lot of our other Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts. She's what I would consider an expert, and we've got her engaged to carry us through from now until the event day itself. And so I'm thinking that's going to be a real positive. She helped us a couple of years ago when we did the Friday night date night. And if you all recall, that was probably the most successful Friday night event we've ever had. And I think a lot of it was testimony to her. We also attached to this update the new sponsorship applications. And so I just want to draw your attention to the fact that we added the $50 and $100. And we also added the $2,000 just in the event we find somebody out there that's feeling really good about Wildwood, like Mr. Garitano. And while I have the opportunity and with the permission of the chair, Mr. McGowan, our representative from the Boy Scouts, is here and he may want to update you as well. But that's where we're at as of March 3rd. Let's say 7 months before the event. And so I think we're doing very well. Thank you.
Agreed.
Well,
This
Joe,
is Vicky. Sorry, go ahead.
go on, Vicky.
Thank you. I don't know who that was, but thank you, Ken. I just wanted to say really quickly, I am getting into a place where I'm going to lose contact. And so if I lose contact, I won't be back onto the meeting tonight. I just didn't want y'all to think something happened. So thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, Joe, I don't have an update. Our meeting with the scout leaders is March 15th. So I'll have something for the next meeting. Except I do just want to take a second to reiterate something that I've said before, just to make sure that everybody's aware of it. And this, I'll tap on what you were saying in that memo you put together, Joe. But I'm going down the road here with scouts, assuming that September everything's going to be almost back to normal. If there are still restrictions, the scouts could be out. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And I probably won't really know that till we get real close to that time. I got a feeling things are going to be changing a lot as we get closer to September. But I just want to make sure everybody knows that this is not a commitment on the scout part. This all hinges on what kind of condition the world's in at that time and where we are with the virus. Okay, but we're going down the path as if everything's gonna be fine and all the youth will be able to participate. Okay,
And Mr. McGowan, I think that's a reasonable approach for anybody, whether it's an individual, the city of Wildwood, or the Boy Scouts of America. And as I concluded with my memorandum, if there aren't changes along the way, then I'd be very, very surprised.
yep,
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
yep, you're welcome.
Madam Chair, any questions for Gary, Ken, or I?
Well, yes, I do. On the booth commitments, I was just curious as to who the nonprofit and locals were. You said there were 4 of them who committed.
I'll have to defer to Mr. Cruz. I'm not tracking it as closely as probably I should. And I can see he's looking for the paperwork.
Yeah. I may not have that. That may be in Bree's desk, but hang on one second.
And for those that don't know, Bree Kelson is our recreation specialist that works with the Department of Planning and Parks. You'll be seeing more of her at future meetings as she kind of steps in and helps us in the absence of Kathy Arnett.
Okay,
And I don't
All
have
right.
I don't have that information in front of me, Ms. Siebert.
So
Okay.
Madam Chair, when I send out Kathy's email, I'll also send out the names of those 4 organizations.
okay, thank you. I had an idea that I'd like to toss out to our commission as far as sponsorships. Since we have new levels, I thought it would be great if our commission, if each one of the commission members could chip in $50 and the commission, it would be just shy of 500. So maybe the council could chip in the extra 50 or whatever, and we could have a banner with showing our support, in town center for this event.
I
don't
love the
know
idea.
if that would be agreeable or not. Since we already donate our time.
Right. I'd be more than happy to. And on top of that, I hope as a group, like we get to introduce the band or something and go on stage.
Well, usually the mayor introduces all of us.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes, he does. And that's a good thing because it's good for the town to know, that there really is a commission of, neighbors and friends, and it's us.
Well, I don't know.
Anybody else feel that we shouldn't do that, or we should?
Susan, I would be in agreement of that. Do you need a motion for that?
Well, maybe someone can't afford it. I don't know. It was just an idea.
The motion could be formed for those that would like to contribute to that.
This is Vicky, and I would be willing to contribute.
I mean,
Okay,
if we could make it, the motion could say those members that are wishing to do that. I mean, that way people who don't are not.
Vicky, we see your dog.
That's so cute.
Oh, he is cute.
We're
He is.
we're driving home.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah, Vicky, give us a pause up if that's a yes.
Okay, well, who wants to make the motion?
I was going to make it. I was going to
Okay,
agreement in the terms that I move that commission members who are willing contribute $50 for sponsorship for the 25th Wildwood celebration, 26th.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Any
Aye.
nays? Okay. So that's what we'll do. And I would imagine that at some point when you're collecting funds, Mr. Vunich, you'll tell us and we could submit a check to you and hopefully we'll get close to 500.
Well, Madam Chair, we'll make the assumption that regardless if we get close to $500 or not, that the Wildwood Celebration Commission will have a banner somewhere on Taylor Road or Main Street.
Well, thank you. That's great. Good for us.
Now, Susan, do you want us to send it straight to Wildwood or do you want to send it to you or?
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know.
And who is it payable to? Is it payable to the city
Right.
or?
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, if those that would like to participate, just make the check out to City of Wildwood.
Okay.
And then you can just send it to the Department of Planning and Parks, whether it's Gary or I. And then we'll collect it and deposit it, just as we do for any of the other sponsors.
Okay. Thank you.
Great idea, Susan.
Yeah. And I would say maybe put on your check, Wildwood Commission. you
Right.
know?
So we don't have to fill out the form, do we?
No, ma'am, we'll take care of all of that for you. We'd be glad to do that. It's a generous and gracious action on all of your parts because we get free time from you and I know your time is valuable. So thank you for considering it.
Well, I thought of it when I was reading through all this and I saw, I remembered, of course, that we lowered the commitment levels. And I thought, well, $50 is almost a meal at McDonald's at the going prices today. I don't know. I don't know. Charlie said last Friday, we did not go to a fish fry. So, and I didn't want to cook. So he said, well, I'll go to Culver's and we'll get a couple of fish sandwiches. And the bill wound up being $26. And I thought, wow, for a fish sandwich and some fries, that was a lot. Anyway, thank you everyone who is going to participate. All right. Gary, do you want to talk about the layout?
Sure, I would be happy to.
I mean,
So if you-
is that the next thing on the list,
Yes, ma'am.
on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So what you have in front of you there, this is our initial stab at organizing the event grounds, just to give you guys an idea of what we're thinking of right now. So what you have in front of you shows the possibility of placing at least 92 booths in the area right out here in front of City Hall. It would be 92 plus booths because in the area where the concert normally would be held, I have areas for static displays. And what that means is these are displays that'll come in at a certain time during the day, but they'll be gone by 4:30 in order to allow for all the concert goers down in that area. The food court, that's quite a lot of food court booths. I just put them in here to show you what we could put in. But it's a great location as long as weather permits. All of this is definitely weather influenced. And then if you'll flip over on the other side, it didn't copy very well, but what's going to be the Village Green is for this Celebrate Wildwood event is where the Boy Scout activities and reenactors are going to be, the bounce houses, the climbing wall, and the pony rides. I put a little access arrow up there to show how people would find that area. And we toured the Boy Scout activity area, Ken McGowan and I did yesterday. He seems happy with that. I hope he's happy with it. At least that's the impression that I got last night. And then depending on the perimeter that he's going to need, we can bring the bounce houses and the climbing wall and stuff closer down to the Boy Scout area. we're opening it up to you for any suggestions or any ideas that you guys might have, but that's what we've come up with to this point.
Madam Chair, if I could just add one item. The Director of Planning and Parks, me, had hoped that we could be up along Route 100 on Plaza Drive and in the vicinity of the upper level of the parking garage. Per the commission's request, we contacted Metro West Fire Protection District. And although they didn't say outright no, they did express some reservations and concerns about having it up there and such a large event up there. And so that's why Gary and I kind of started looking at an alternative plan, a plan you've all seen before. We've shifted around many times in anticipation of the event in 2020. So that's the explanation why it's down below.
Okay.
Excuse me, Joe? Can you
Yes,
please
ma'am.
elaborate what the concerns were?
First and foremost, their feeling is that the anthology, the assisted memory care facility, couldn't exist just by the access drive through the parking lot that parallels or is abutting to State Route 100. They expressed concerns then that without Market, they felt that it would, even with Market, they felt that that's not an appropriate location, because if they access through Market Avenue to the rear of the building, it just doesn't work for them given the size of the ambulance and their needs.
Got it.
So
Okay,
it
got
boiled
it.
down to,
Okay.
it boiled down to that.
Emergency access for them. Okay, got it. Thank you.
I have a question. You know, the business community was going to do the lanterns,
Right.
where and when have we worked those in? Can you remind me, please?
Well, that was
Well-
something we were going to determine tonight, either Friday or Saturday. I don't think we made a definitive
Okay,
date.
Well, I think, didn't we decide the event was just Saturday?
right.
Yeah.
It's only one day.
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything on Friday then?
No,
Oh,
Okay.
no. So wouldn't it be good sometime between, closer to dark and before the band or something? Like it seems like
Yeah.
we have a little lull between, I don't know, 6:30 and 9:15.
I think you're right, Karen. That was my point. I was trying to see how we would work that in. But I think that's a good opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Joe, Mr. Vunich, what are your thoughts on that? Gary, you too.
Well, certainly, we had talked at one time about having a component of the event on Friday night. But as we talked amongst the commission members and then staff outside the commission meeting, we just thought that given COVID-19, it might be risky to try to do two nights or 2 days. So let's just focus on one and do the best we can with that. And in terms of the timing, that's of the Lantern Festival, that's entirely up to the commission. And once you have a time set, we'll give you some options on location. And we'll certainly bring in the Wildwood Business Association and make sure they're agreeable to what we're describing as well. So I think we can make it work, and I think it can be a nice addition, as we all discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the time between, before the band would be great to me. I don't know to take that to the business people or.
Yeah, I think dusk sounds amazing, right? But I think the WBA should be involved in it.
Yes.
With their great idea, and whenever they're most comfortable.
Absolutely.
And Joe, may I ask, backing up on another issue, regarding the live music? So you're still looking to place two other musical acts earlier in the day? And if I have a suggestion for one and someone who's interested, how do I submit that? It is somebody who's played for the city before. Do you want that via email? Do you want it? How would you like me to submit that information?
You can submit it via email, or you can present it tonight. We're always looking for suggestions.
Okay, it is Teddy McCready.
Sure.
Mhm.
I checked his schedule and he's absolutely available and he did ask if we would enjoy making it a trio. His partner Rocky Mantilla, who plays keyboard, really sort of adds another layer and enhances it. I don't know what our budget is for that. And then additionally, depending on what the financial resources were available, they have either the choice of a drummer or a saxophone player. So not sure what you're looking for in that time slot, but I most certainly think by that afternoon one, that 2 to 4:30, he'd be perfect in there. You're smiling. You like Teddy? Me too. Me too.
Haven't we had him before?
Yes, ma'am. We've
I
had him
thought
for
so.
several years in a
Yeah,
row.
we
Right.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said he'd be honored to play and if we were interested in making it a part of his trio, to let him know, and he would check the other band members' availability, but he said absolutely he'd like to. So I don't know if that's something that requires a vote or if you just select how that works. But
I
Please.
can certainly
need a
contact
motion
Ted.
for that? Or do we need a motion to put it into the minutes or whatever?
Yes, the department would respectfully request a motion, and would you, I guess the question I have before a motion is made, would you like us to offer him the entire, both time slots, or would you like to consider another band besides Mr. McCready?
I think, gosh, that's a great question. I mean, I think most certainly he'd be happy to play solo and then bring the trio. But we probably, before we make that vote happen, we should check his group's availability. He is absolutely in at a minimum solo, and I think the best slot for him is 2 to 4:30 as we start to get more people because he has such wide appeal. And then we could finalize whether it's actually a trio or just a solo.
Actually, Ms. Stevens, he has a group called the Yacht Rockers. I don't know if you're familiar with it. With
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and we had them scheduled for 2020 to play, but due to COVID, we had to cancel it out.
Oh.
But you know, if everybody approves, I'd be more than it would be great to have him for the entire 4-hour slot. And he's always good.
Right on, Gary. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Karen,
So
may-
then let's make a motion to ask him and at least get him on the schedule for the afternoon, and if he would like, leave it open for him to see if he wants the other and if he wants to add to his group. How would that be?
Sure.
That's nice flexibility.
Is there a second to that?
Karen, did you
Okay.
make that motion?
I did.
I think Susan made it. And,
Okay.
and
I can second it.
All right, Pat seconded. All in favor?
I.
Good. Well, great. Thanks, Karen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Gary. Great idea for the yacht rock part.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, were there any nays or abstentions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. All right,
Madam Chair, again, going back to the layout of the event, if there are any suggestions or any thoughts that any of the individual commission members may have in this regard, please send them to Gary or I. We'd love to incorporate what you're thinking and show it in our next version of the layout. Thank you.
Charlie. Okay. All right, did I miss anything else on the agenda? Okay. Let's take a few minutes and talk about meeting times. And how would it be if we met maybe every 6 weeks? And then as we get closer, maybe in August, we'll have, we'll get it down to 4 weeks. The month of August, from July, we'll have a meeting hopefully sometime in July, and then a meeting in August. And then our event is in September.
Question. So what we're doing right now is just sort of modifying for the rest of this season leading up to our current event. I sort of started thinking about it in a broader scope in terms of the move forward, right? And not knowing when we'll host this event next year, but I certainly think in the early months of planning, when we have a year runway, right, that every other month is certainly fine. And if we find that there's a need for something more frequent because of a pandemic or something else, that we could set an emergency meeting up or something. But then as we get a little closer, maybe we have to have those meetings more frequently. So are we sort of conceptually making some decisions on just the remaining part to leading up to our 2021 celebration? Or are we thinking of it in broader terms?
Well, I think going forward, let's think about this year and see what happens, after our celebration.
Oh,
Because after the celebration, I mean, it would seem to me that we have a follow-up at least 6 weeks, if not 2 months out. And then usually we don't meet in December, right? Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, November and December, or is it just December?
Typically, it's been just December.
Okay, and then that would bring us to the end of the year. So my thought would be just to deal with 21 this year.
Okay.
Could somebody actually get a
Yes.
calendar out and let us kind of take a look at the calendar to see what the meeting dates might be and kind of get a feeling that way for what would make sense? Because do we need to have a meeting like 2 weeks before the event?
So I was thinking,
And then 4
Mhm.
weeks before the event? And then,
technically, yeah, we have 5 more meetings before the actual event. So how many of those can we whittle down?
right,
Well, I'm sure Gary will probably say something to me after the meeting, but I think with only 5 meetings before the event itself, we probably need to keep our current schedule and then implement after this year's event.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a
Okay.
good idea.
Would it help city staff if we started earlier?
in the
Mhm.
day, earlier in the day?
If that works for the majority of you, I think that would be a benefit that we would appreciate, even
Sure.
if it's just 5 o'clock starting or 5:30, the extra hour.
Sure, that actually is good for me too.
Starting at 5:30
Have-
or 5 o'clock.
I
5
can-
would be fine. 5 would be
5
fine for me.
5 would be fine for me too.
Either one works for me.
Yeah, I can do 5.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's make a motion. Can somebody make a motion?
I make a motion to have monthly meetings between here and the event date in September, but move those meetings to commence at 5 p.m.
Okay,
A second,
all in favor? Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any comments? Okay, they will start at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so for our next meeting, which is Wednesday, March 7th, is that our next meeting?
No, that would be April.
I'm sorry, April. I'm sorry, Wednesday, April 7th.
And it will start at 5.
Fine.
And Madam Chair, to all the commission members, thank you for accommodating that. I hope it's not too much of an imposition, but like I say, it will help greatly, I think. But I still believe we only have 5 months, and I'd just like to keep the pulse on COVID-19 and keep you all in the loop as well. And I think that's why it's important to meet our regular schedule. Thank you.
Well,
Okay, well, you're
thank you,
welcome.
Joe, and thank you, Gary.
All right, is there anything else? Any other comments, suggestions? No? All right, if there's nothing, then is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
I sec-
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Hey, have a good week. Enjoy the warmer weather.
Bye
thanks,
bye.
everybody. Take
Thank you
care.
all.
Bye.